Hi, good morning. My name is Moin, and you are listening to Moin Uddin. It's a wonderful morning today, and it's 7:30 in the morning. So as usual, I'm just here to read like positive kind of thing for you. What I'm doing since this episode is that I'm reading a book, uh, True Love: A Practice for Awakening the Heart by Thich Nhat Hanh. So I have already covered chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the chapter 1 was the four aspects of love, and the chapter 2 was love is being there. Chapter 3 was recognizing the presence of the other. Chapter 4 was being there when someone is suffering. And today I'm going to read chapter 5. It's overcoming pride. So by the way, my name is Moin and you are listening to Moin Uddin. You can like my page Moin Uddin on Facebook, as well as you can subscribe my channel Moin Uddin on YouTube. Okay, so that you can get lots of good interviews and you can get to listen lots of podcast over there. So yeah, that is how what I'm doing right now. So I'm going to read the fifth chapter. It's called Overcoming Pride, and it is written by Thich Nhat Hanh. So yeah, overcoming pride. The fourth mantra is more difficult to practice. It has to do with a situation in which you are suffering yourself and you think that your suffering has been created by the person you love most in the world. If it had been someone else who had said that to you or done to you, without a doubt, you would be suffering less. But in this case, it is the person I love most in the world who said that to me, who did that to me, and I'm suffering more. I'm deeply hurt by the fact that my suffering was caused by the person I love the most. I feel like going to my room, closing the door, staying by myself and crying. I refuse to go to him or her to ask for help. So now it is pride that is the obstacle. According to the teaching of Buddha, in true love, there is no place for pride. If you are suffering, every time you are suffering, you must go to the person in question and ask for his or her help. That is true love. Do not let pride keep you apart. If you think your love for this person is true love, you must overcome your pride and you must always go to him or her. That is why I have invented this mantra for you. Practice so as to bring about oneness of your body and mind before going to the person to say the fourth mantra. Dear one, I'm suffering. Please help. This is very simple but very hard to do. I would like to tell you a story from my country. A young man went off to war, leaving his pregnant wife behind. 2 years later, he was able to return home, and the young man went with their young son to meet her husband. They cried together out of joy. In Vietnam, in our tradition, when an event of this kind takes place, it has to be announced to the ancestors. So the young father asked his wife to go to the market to buy the things that are needed for the offering that is placed on the altar to the ancestors. Such an altar is found in every house. Each morning we burn a stick of incense to our ancestors on this altar. And in this way we make a connection with them, burning this incense, adorning the altar with photographs of our ancestors, and dusting the shrine of our very important gestures. These are moments in which we come in contact with our ancestors. There are people living in the world who are completely uprooted because they do not practice such a turning toward the ancestors. So the young wife went off to the market. During this time, the young father was trying to convince his child to call him daddy. The little boy refused. Mister, you are not my daddy. My daddy is somebody else. He visits us every night and my mommy talks to him every night, and very often she cries with them. And every time my mommy sits down, he sits down too. Every time she lies down, he lies down too. After he heard these words, the young father's happiness entirely evaporated. His heart turned into a block of ice. He felt hurt, deeply humiliated, and that is why, when his wife came home, he would no longer look at her or speak a word to her. He ignored her. The woman herself began to suffer. She felt humiliated, hurt. When the offering was placed on the altar, the young father burnt the incense, recited the prayers to the ancestors, and did the four traditional prostrations. Then he picked the mat up instead of leaving it. Then he picked the mat up instead of leaving it there for his wife so she could do the four prostrations in her turn. In his mind, he thought that she was not qualified to present herself before the ancestors, and she was humiliated by this. After the ceremony, he didn't stay at the house to eat but went to the village and spent the day in the bar. He tried to forget his suffering by drinking alcohol, and he did not come back to the house until very late at night. The following day, it was the same thing, and this went on for several days in a row. The young woman cried. The young woman could not take it anymore. Her suffering was so great that in the end she threw herself in the river and drowned. When the young father heard this news, he returned to the house, and that night he was the one who went to get the lamp and lit it. Suddenly the child cried out, "Mister, mister, it is my daddy. He has come back." And he pointed to the shadow of his father on the wall. "You know, mister, my father comes every night. Mommy talks to him, and sometimes she cries, and every time she sits down, my dad sits down too." In reality, this woman had been alone in the house too much, and every night she had talked to her shadow. "My dear one, you are so far away from me. How can I raise my child all by myself? You must come back home soon." She would cry, and of course, every time she sat down, the shadow would also sit down. Now the husband's first perception was no longer there, but it was too late. His wife was already dead. A misperception is something that can destroy an entire family. The Buddha told us a number of times that we are subject to misperceptions in our everyday life. Therefore, we have to pay close attention to our perceptions. There are people who hang on to their misperceptions for 10 or 20 years, and during this time they continue to suffer and make other people suffer. Why did the young father not want to talk this thing over with his wife? Because pride got in between them. If he had asked his wife, "Who is this person who came every night? Our child told me about him. I'm suffering so much, my darling, you have to help me. Explain to me who this person is." If he had done that, his wife would have had a chance to explain, and the drama could have been avoided. However, it was not only his fault, but that of his young wife as well. She could have come to him and asked him the reason for his change in attitude. "Husband, why don't you look at me anymore? Why don't you talk to me? Have I done something awful that I deserve such treatment? I'm suffering so much. Dear husband, you have to help me." She did not do this, and I do not want you to make the same mistake in your everyday life. We are subject to misperceptions every day. So we have to pay attention. Every time you think it is somebody else who is causing the suffering, you must remember this story. You must always check things out by going to the person in question and ask for his or her help. "Dear one, I'm suffering so much. Help me, please." So yeah, that's the end of the 5th chapter, Overcoming Pride, from the book True Love, written by Thich Nhat Hanh. My name is Moin, and you are listening to Moin Uddin So. And you can like my page Moin Uddin So on Facebook, as well as you can subscribe my channel Moin Uddin So on YouTube. So yeah, I think I read a wonderful chapter for you, overcoming pride. So pride is really bad for our health. I mean, for everything. So you need to keep in balance. You need to check and keep it in balance. So yeah, we need to overcome our pride. That was the chapter 5. So I will be back tomorrow at the same time for the next chapter, and that's chapter 6. And chapter 6 tells about deep listening. So I will be talking about deep listening tomorrow. And by the way, you can listen to me live today on Facebook at 9 p.m. So that is and yeah, it's a motivational series as well. And I read the Nepali text over there, and yeah, that is what I'm doing these past couple of days. So what do you think of it? You can just write your feedback on the comment section and do let me know. And if there's anything that you would want to say, or if there's anything that you want to share or want to comment, then you can please feel free to do so. So okay, for now, I'm signing off. Take care and have a wonderful day ahead.